Hello everyone. I hope everybody is fine. So today I am back with my next presentation for the RBI Grade B examination, phase 2. The first topic I already have discussed and hopefully you might have enjoyed. That was on the topic of the national income and the GDP and GNP. That was well discussed, and I hope you must have gotten into the finer aspects related to the national income and the GDP. So in line with the same, we are now going to discuss on the next topic, and that relates to the poverty alleviation and the employment generation in India. But as all of you know, that poverty is one of the biggest problems since the our country got freedom in 1947. So much so that the Indira government started with a campaign of the Garibi Hatao, and even till today we are striving to do that. But we have been only partially successful as far as the poverty alleviation is concerned. Of course, we have met certain, the targets, but even then, we are miles to go before actually we can comfortably say that we have been able to alleviate the poverty per se. In the recent past, the level of unemployment also has gone up, and since freedom, this is happening to be the highest, percentage of the unemployment. Of course, one of the prime reasons for that is the corona pandemic outbreak, but the oppositions also blame the current prime minister for, being too rude in taking some of the, unwise decisions according to them, like GST or the Notbandi or whatever you call it. So there are many accusations, many blames on the current PM. With which I do not agree completely, and I have certain reservations on that. But anyway, so we'll proceed with our topic for the day. Hi, I'm Professor P.K. Pathak, going to have a discussion on the poverty alleviation and the employment generation in India. What is the current state and how we can go ahead? How can we try to remove the poverty in principle? All these things we are going to have a discussion. So just stick to this particular video, watch till the end, and enjoy your topic, make it your own so that you can write your examination with full confidence with adequate inputs in your mind. So before I start my presentation, I urge all of you to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So on this note, now I'm going to share the slide. I hope everybody can see this PPT. So, as you know, today's topic is poverty alleviation and employment generation in India, and that is intended for the RBI Grade B aspirants for the phase 2 examination. So, first topic already, as I told you that we have covered up in the previous slide, and this is just a preliminary input for you to just get connected to what exactly we are going to talk about. And in all my discussions, the first slide will just be shown to you so as you can get reminded of the continuity of the topic of the subjects. And we are going to have a discussion of the paper one, that is the ESI. And on that, we have these three topics, out of which the first one I have covered up, and today I'm going to take up the second one. Okay, so now let us concentrate on the topic of the day. What is poverty? How can we define poverty? So, in common parlance, if somebody is deprived of something, you call the individual to be poor. So, let us see what the book definition says. You see, poverty is a state in which the people are denied the financial resources and the essentials to lead a minimum standard of the life and well-being that is considered acceptable in the society. Because there has to be certain, minimum criteria as to what could be the requirement of an individual just to live in the life. And it may not be a very lavish spending, but at least the minimum requirements of having been able to manage for the 3-time meals and for the minimum clothing, for minimum shelter, whatever you call it, or the at least the minimum level of education per se. So what could be the genuine requirement of an individual, and if that individual is even deprived of all those requirements on the pretext or of unemployment or for that matter any other reason, the state of poverty can cease to happen. And so therefore, it is also important to know what is the below poverty line. So as you know, the definition of the poverty, so accordingly in India, the poverty is measured on the basis of the expenditure to achieve a threshold level of the calorie intake. And if a household is not able to even get to that level of the calorie intake, it is the threshold level of the expenditure is called the poverty line, and proportion of the population living below this line, who are not able to even cater for their calorie intake requirements, they are considered to be below the poverty line. So I hope the concept of the poverty and the below poverty line is amply clear to all of you. So we now proceed with the further concept and let us know what are the types of poverty. So absolute poverty, when you do not have anything, the bare minimum requirements, even if you do not have, then you have to have the absolute poverty. On the contrary, relative poverty means in a particular sector, in a particular domain, if you do not have something, if you are deprived of something, we can call the relative poverty. And in case you are suffering through all the directions, then we can call to have the multidimensional poverty. So we'll be going more into the details. These are some of the committees that has been formed to identify and define the poverty line in India, because the responsibility is with the government, state government. So these committees, they were formed from time to time, and that includes the Alat Committee that is in 1979, the Electoral Committee of 1993, Tendulkar Committee of 2009, and Rangarajan Committee of 2012. So these are some of the committees which were given with the responsibility to identify and define the current status of the poverty, and also evolve some of the ways and means to alleviate that. Okay. So in order to alleviate the poverty, we must know the demography, and we must also know what has happened in the past. So as you can see, the share of population living in poverty was half between 1994 to 2012. So this space is quite high when you compare this with the past performances, right from the 1947 till 1994, and you compare with this, I think you can see a major change. So during this period, the percentage of the poverty that was brought down from 45% to 22%. So it was a big achievement per se for the government of the day. So to be specific, 133 million people were lifted out of the poverty to various schemes of the government and the support incentives to the needy. So, as I told you, the pace of the poverty reduction accelerated over time, and it was 3 times faster between the 2005 and the 2012. Okay, so that means the pace with which we are able to alleviate the poverty is going faster and faster, as you can see from the data that is available here. These are some of the ways in which the poverty alleviation can be taken up. And that includes the rapid economical growth. So if you start having economic growth, definitely the outcomes will be available to the people in general, and they also can uplift their way of life. The second thing could be employment generation through the government schemes, and government is already striving hard to generate employment for the people per se. And not only that, the government schemes, till these people are able to get the employment, the government will provide basic amenities free of cost to the people who are needy. So you can see during the recent past, after the corona pandemic outbreak, the government of India has been feeding at least 80 crore of the population the bare minimum eatables free of cost. Then there is a direct benefit transfer of those who are eligible according to various schemes of the government. Now they are getting the money transferred to their bank account without having the mediators to go ahead with some of the cut money or whatever you call it, or the bribery. So So there is nothing of that kind, because with the Jan Dhan Yojana, every poor has got an bank account, and the money that should go to his account is directly going to his account. So in between, the mediators, they have been removed, and the people have been ultimately the beneficiaries. So let us have a discussion how we can have the rapid economic growth. Rapid economic growth is definitely going to increase the GDP, that is the gross domestic product, and this will result in improving the condition of the poor by providing them better opportunities. So how it happens? If the economic growth happens, this will provide the job opportunities for the poor people, and they also can uplift their living style. So that's why we call it the trickle-down effect, where the success of the top tier helps in lifting the conditions of the bottom tier. So that's the first strategy of the rapid economic growth. The second strategy is employment generation through the government schemes, and you can see an array of programs that has been implemented by the various governments. The first, for example, you can see the Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, which was introduced in 1993 in order to create self-employment opportunities for the rural youth. And the next one is Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, introduced in 1999, and this was primarily for the below poverty line people families, and they were brought into the self-help groups through the bank credit and subsidies, so that they can generate their own employment, or they can get into some kind of small businesses. The next one is Manarega. So this was introduced in 2005 by the Manmohan Singh government, and even now it is going successfully, and largest social welfare scheme of the whole world is considered. The third one is government schemes which provide basic amenities. These are some of the schemes like National Food Security Act. Everybody must get food irrespective of whether or not they are capable of acquiring that. The next one is Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Social Assistance Program, in which the people in the last point of the society is even taken care of. And then there is a PM Rural Development Fellowship, which caters to the requirement of the rural society of the country. Direct benefit transfer, already explained to you. So this plays an important role in making resources reach the needy. Apart from that, the government also established the PDS, that is Public Distribution System, and FCI, Food Corporation of India, to ensure the food security for poor people. An announcement of a minimum support for the farmers, which provide them with the financial security. So you can see through the various ways and means and mechanism implemented from time to time, the government is doing its bit to alleviate the poverty in the long run in the country, and it has been successful to some extent. Of course, we need to go much further also, because irrespective of or in spite of all these measures, there is a large population still they are below poverty line, and they need to be lifted up as early as possible. So how we can lift up those people? These are some of the key steps, and these were suggested by the World Bank, which also happens to have the responsibility of the poverty alleviation across the globe. So as these were the suggestions made by the World Bank, you can see we need to accelerate the rural poverty reduction, because major part of the country is living in the rural areas. So if you remove the rural poverty, it is going to have impact on the total national scenario. And the next one is we can be creating more and better jobs for the people who are unemployed and but educated youth or even the skilled youth. We need to focus more on the women and the scheduled tribes, and for that there are various schemes under the government, funding programs in which the women entrepreneurs and the SC/STs, they are extended with the additional support to encourage those people indulging into some kind of business activities. We also need to create more good locations. So till now we had only 5 or 6 major cities of India in which people used to gather and for their livelihood. But in the recent past, we have been able to generate and create more number of cities having having the industrial opportunities, and with the advent of the expressways crisscrossing the whole country through the current government initiative. Now there is a large area of our country across these states, various states and regions. Now we are creating the special economic zones and industrial areas, so that even the recent past being the Bundelkhand Expressway, which is going to be inaugurated in the following month. This will, this kind of, initiatives, they are going to create jobs for the people in their locality, and they don't have to move to the bigger cities or the metro cities for their livelihood. Okay, and then there is some improvement on the human development outcomes for the poor. This also needs to be taken care of. So these are some of the key steps which can be taken to remove the poverty. Next, some of the indexes in measuring the poverty, or how you can measure the poverty and how you can ensure that the poverty reduction is actually taking place. These are some of the indexes which you can refer. The Human Development Index, Gender Development Index, Gender Inequality Index, Multidimensional Poverty Index, and all these indexes must be improving over the period of time. That should be the focus point. So at the end of the day, what we can say is poverty is a multidimensional concept associated with many other social problems, and poverty alleviation remains a priority for all the governments of the day. Okay. As far as the state of employment generation is concerned, you can see that 67% of its population in working age group of 15 to 64, and more than 50% of its total population is below 25 years of age. And so therefore, India has got a demographic advantage when compared to other major economies of the world. So how it is beneficial to all of us? Because the average age of the population in India is 28.4 years. And during the next 20 years, the labor force in industrial world is expected to decline by 4%, but on the contrary, in India, it will be going to increase by 32%. And that means what? We will have adequate manpower to cater to the emerging requirements in terms of the industrial growth and the subsequent requirements of the employment. But the irony is that the Indian population is mostly employed in the unorganized sector, which are quite volatile, and these people are thrown into unemployment for no varied reasons, and they are most vulnerable. So the domestic prospects for employment, irrespective of what the points we have discussed, are comparatively bleak, and the unemployment is running all-time high from the independence. Reason already quoted to you. The reason is, one of the prime reason is the corona pandemic, and associated with many other reasons, the global downfall in the GDP, the current Russia and Ukraine war, or there are so many other factors that are responsible. So although the government has brought many programs to control the situation, and that we have discussed in our previous slides, but India has definitely an uphill task of meeting the challenges. As far as the data is concerned, these are some of the major sources of the official data, and these include the National Sample Survey Organization, Census of India, Directorate General of Employment, and training data of registration with the employment exchanges. So these are some of the sources from which we can generate data, and we can identify, we can correlate, and we can actually establish as to how far the development has taken place, how improving the things are now. So these are some of the sources in order to establish all those things. These are some of the initiatives taken for the employment generation. You can see the Prime Minister Employment Generation Program, PMEGP, under the Ministry of MSME. Then there is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, that is Manarega. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gramin Kausalya Yojana by Ministry of Rural Development, and Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Urban Livelihood Mission, run by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So the government is doing its bit, but it's also the responsibility of the big industrialists and the people who are having, something to offer to the common people or the people below the poverty line, they have to come ahead, they have to come forward and they contribute effectively in whatever capacity they can. There are some others like, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, under which up to rupees 10 lakh loan is extended to the people for creating new businesses, small businesses. We have done Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Protsahan Yojana, in which the entire employer contribution of 12% like or whatever is admissible towards APS and EPF is being given by the government of the country. And under Skill India Mission, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, it has implemented a flagship program known as PMKVY, that is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and it has been able to train at least 70 lakh people till date, out of which I think about 25% only they were employable, and the remaining are still not employed as per the current data that is available. Finally, to sum up, we can say some of the issues in the employment generation are the population growth, because ours is a highly populated country with the most dense, population comparing to the land area. With the 140 crores approximately people, population continues to grow, and it's really a difficult task to provide employment for all the people in times to come. And to add the pain, the modernization is reducing the manual labor, because everything is being done through the computerized system and the software or networking, and so therefore the manual labor is reducing further. So this also is creating a problem. The lack of adequate fund allocation for the employment generation, because for employment generation we need to have a lot of fund which is not being created or not being supported by the government of the country. And one more reason is lack of the skilled labor. So although we claim that we have unemployment youth who are educated, having the bachelors and the masters, but the fact of the matter is that all these the younger generation, they lack somewhere in their skills. So while they may be qualified, but they are not educated in the real sense, so much so that they cannot be put into some projects directly. So lack of skilled labor, despite of having a large number of educated people, qualified people, is also an area of concern. Okay, so when compared to China, which is more populated, India lacks skilled workers, and this needs to be curbed on any case, so therefore we must be caring more for the practical education rather than going with the bookish education. That's the outcome of all these analysis and synthesis in today's discussion. So that's it for the day. I hope you have understood the whole concept. What is the poverty? How can you alleviate the poverty? What are the schemes that are being taken up by the government, and what still remains to be done? What suggestions, if implemented, could result into poverty alleviation with a faster pace, and how our country should, going to go in the times to come? All these things you have learned, and you must try to acquire the knowledge that is, available to you in the form of this PPT and this discussion. You can re-watch the video in order to understand some of the basic concepts. If you have got finding some difficulty into understanding, you can make note of certain points so that it always refreshes your knowledge. On that note, I conclude for the day, and once again I request all of you to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and keep on receiving the interesting videos. I will also invite the suggestions from all of you as to on which topics of the management we can have discussions. And all these discussions, although they have been tailor-made for the RBI Grade B Phase examination, but all the management students, they also can take benefit out of this, because they are equally applicable to them as well. So that's it for the day. Hope you have enjoyed, and you'll get connected to me. You'll continue to watch my videos subsequently. So on the next topic, tomorrow I'll be releasing my third video, and so on and so forth. We'll be covering all the topics of the Phase 2 syllabus. So be in touch with me, always refer to my videos. And in case you feel any problem or you have got any discussions to make, you can just put into my mail, or you can even write in the chat box, and it will be so nice of you to be together. Our aim is one, and that is to improve your performance, and this is going to give you a win-win situation for both of us. So that's it for the day. Thank you so much for being consistent and watching the video till the end. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.